The revolution is televised.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the No Stipulations podcast, a podcast where we talk about our favorite thing, wrestling. I am, of course, Brendan Smith. Follow alongside my co-host, Mr. Logan Loving. And Mr. Logan Loving, we had a pretty interesting and exciting week of WWE television, didn't we?
You say wrestling is my favorite thing when I literally have a dog and the fuzziest socks that I've ever owned, Brendan. How can you say what anything is my favorite is?
Well, I just kind of assumed, like most things that I do in my life, but I assumed that wrestling is among some of your favorite things.
Yes, it probably is. I don't really rank that very often.
Well, alright, so we'll start off this week with SmackDown, the February 7th episode of SmackDown, coming from, I believe, Memphis, Tennessee?
We talked about it at the end of the last episode, and I can't remember for
It
the
was,
life of me.
I believe, yes, it is Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes,
So,
Memphis, Tennessee.
This episode of SmackDown was a bit of a chiral image of what happened last week on Monday with Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, the 2025 Rumble winners kind of testing the waters for potential Mania matches, and also on tonight's SmackDown, we kicked off the show with main event Jey Uso.
The word chiral, when I was first looking at this script, I thought it was a typo. I had no idea that was an actual word. Props to
No,
you.
chiral. The definition of chiral is.
Well, I looked it up while you were talking, but I didn't know it was a word before now.
Alright, so Jey Uso kicks off the show, but also advertised on SmackDown tonight, Charlotte Flair, who will be on the show, kind of testing the waters for potential matchup with Tiffany Stratton, along with
Sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
But
no, you're good.
I'm going to touch on this a little bit more when we get to the Raw segment. But my thing with the Rumble being so far away is that you have to have a really good story or a really good set of options to make that last, and it's going to be interesting to see how they stretch this 3 months.
Exactly, and we kind of see later, like you said on the Raw, that you got to stretch these storylines, which is kind of why I see them kind of doing, like, making rotations to, like, Raw and SmackDown to be like, oh, I might pick you, or I might pick you.
Right.
But, yeah.
Get you a couple weeks.
Along with the two Rumble winners, we will have the 3 Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, one with the men and 2 with the women. Those matches will include Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven, a triple threat match between Jimmy Uso, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre, and finally, a one-on-one match between Candice LeRae and the returning Alexa Bliss. She, of course, returning at last week's Royal Rumble and wrestling in her first one-on-one match since the 2023 Rumble, where she wrestled Bianca Belair.
Yeah, and then after, of course, the advertisements, after, of course, we get the title card for where we are, what happens, here we are, blah, 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 this and that. Of course, Jey Uso comes out, starts the show, but we get a bit of a backstage segment where the answer that everyone was wondering of whether or not Cody was going to be here after that ladder match he went through was answered. Because, I mean, we saw Kevin, we saw what he did to Sammy, poor guy. And now Cody comes back, honestly, not worse for wear. But then, of course, Jay comes out, does his entrance. They redo it like they did last time. After Jay eats all over the place,
they need to retire that phrase. I swear.
I will not let it die. But they ran the music back, let them eat all over the place again. Jay got his "You deserve it" chance once again because he does deserve it.
He does deserve it. I totally agree. He does deserve it. And the internet wrestling community is way too harsh on this guy. Yeah, he might not be the best worker, but he's super over, and that should be rewarded. End of story.
Don't get me started on the internet wrestling community. We could do a whole episode on that. But back to the show. We had Jay bring Cody out to the ring because Cody was gone from Monday Night Raw for obvious reasons. He just went through hell not literally hell, but a ladder match, which is about the next step down
Yeah.
after it goes what? It goes Hell in a Cell, Steel Cage, TLC, Table/Ladders.
I guess you
No
could
need.
say that it's a couple of rungs down.
Anyway,
All right, all right.
um, crickets in the background. But yeah, Cody comes out to the ring. We saw him and Jay last time they were really face to face. Besides Survivor Series, was their their very brief tag title run after they beat who was it, the Judgment Day at Fastlane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of to placate the American Nightmare between Mania appearances. But we had a very historic press conference where Jey Uso came out and really where everyone started to fall in love with him because after they lost the tag titles, he really started getting his push as a single star.
Mm-hmm.
But he bro hugs Cody, and Cody says, "I know what you want to talk about." Now, Cody said something that caught my ear. He said, "I can either stand across or next to you." Or, excuse me, Jay said that. And he was explaining that he could either fight Cody or stand beside him as World Heavyweight Champion. Cody's proud of him, of course. And he explains to Jay that if he chooses Cody, this is the last time they're going to be friends until after Mania. And he said, "You feel me, sir?"
Mm.
From the very same press conference. Then, of course, the Bloodline comes out, or Jacob and Tama Tonga come out to the ring. Jacob says Cody took the belt from the Bloodline, and now the family needs it back. And he says, out of everyone in the Bloodline, Jay is not the one to bring it back. Then they fight. The faces beat the heels, as is the usual. We go to commercial break. We come back, and now that is a tag title. That is a tag match in the main event.
All right. And next off, we got the first match of the night, that being the match between Bianca Belair and Piper Niven. Bianca would advance to the Elimination Chamber after beating Piper with a slam that got a really good pop from the crowd. And she will be joining Liv Morgan as the only other competitor in that chamber.
You know, I love me some Piper Niven. Honestly, whenever she's on screen, I'm smiling.
I know. I love Piper. I think that she also needs to get into the scene with the US title once they start teasing a breakup with her and Chelsea.
That could be interesting. She is her secret Hervis, is what they called her.
I know.
And um, speaking of Secret Service thing, this isn't a dig on Raquel, but I think Piper does the bodyguard thing way better than Raquel.
Absolutely, absolutely. I honestly can't buy Raquel as a bodyguard with how much she got beat up by Rhea during that feud.
And that's more of an indictment on the booking of it's not a problem with Bria being booked strong. It's the fact that the muscle is literally getting thrown around. That's
Yeah,
kind of the point of the muscle. If Kevin Nash was getting thrown around like that when he was bodyguarding for HBK, you think he would have been Big Daddy Diesel at any point in his career?
exactly. You gotta have consistent booking with how you want to present these wrestlers.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I don't know where that was going.
Sometimes you just gotta end a sentence with "yeah" because we all understand.
Yeah, exactly. But after that, we had Carmelo Hayes and Nick Aldis with another backstage segment. Over the last couple of months, we've seen Carmelo Hayes have this happen to him where, since the transfer window opened, Nick Aldis would say, "Hey, we've got a new superstar. You want to welcome him to SmackDown?" And Carmelo Hayes would say, "Yeah, I'll kick his ass." This time he says, "No, I don't want this match. You're going to mess me up again." But this time it wasn't a transfer. It was poor Tozawa.
Poor Tozawa.
Poor Akira Tozawa. Remember, at the Rumble, Tozawa got knocked out by Carmelo Hayes, and that gave us ISHO Speed getting broken in half.
Which did numbers on social media. So
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
say it was a success.
Very tactical business move, and it worked to perfection.
It did.
Um, yeah. After that, Carmelo said he was done with the surprises, but they reveal it's Tozawa, and I love Tozawa so much,
He's
man.
great.
He looked Mello dead in the eyes and said, "Airball." Right after Mello says, "Mello, don't miss." Oh God, and that that gives us a match because Hayes, of course, accepted because Portazawa was a jobber, and that was gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Next off, we have a backstage segment between DIY and Pretty Deadly. Johnny Gargano says that everybody knows that the BITW is DIY because they beat the Motor City Machine Guns twice in one night at the Royal Rumble.
When
Pretty
he
dead.
said that, I thought I was having a stroke.
Oh yeah.
It's like BITWDIY. What are we talking about, Jonathan?
It took me a second to realize he was talking about best in the world and DIY.
I've watched too much basketball. I thought he meant best in the West.
But after that braggadocious behavior from Johnny Gargano, we got Pretty Deadly appearing behind, actually appearing on the entrance ramp because DIY decided they were going to have a moment of silence for the Motor City Machine Guns and their time in the WWE, but Pretty Deadly very disrespectfully interrupted that moment of silence.
And I hate to cut you off again, even though I keep doing this, but every time we talk about a moment of silence in wrestling, I remember Paul Heyman's tolling bell salute.
Oh,
Ding, ding, ding. And you can just see all of the bloodline busting up.
my I always think of ECW, the 10 bell salute for Rick Rude, that rude woman, and
Oh
the
my
Dudley
God.
boys like threatened to kill her while they were in the ring.
Yeah, that was something. The Dudley boys were.
But Pretty Deadly, they bring up the amount of help that they've done for DIY in keeping those tag titles, and DIY kind of brushes it off. Nick Aldis, he comes out and he creates a little bit of an interesting situation for the two teams. There is going to be a match tonight, a non-title match between Pretty Deadly and DIY, and if the Yes Boys can beat the tag champs, they will earn a future tag title opportunity.
And guess when
DIY,
that match was happening?
it would happen tonight. DIY
Right
is
now.
not happy. They were in street clothes and they would wrestle in street clothes. Johnny Gargano would say on the mic, "We can't even change. We can't even change."
They shed the jackets eventually. I think Champa lost his shirt at some point, but they were wrestling in jeans.
Oh yeah, and Pretty Deadly would get the win after a roll up 2 count from DIY that would be countered into another roll up, and the Yes Boys would win, giving themselves a future tag title opportunity.
Yes, boy. They could never make me hate Pretty Deadly.
I love how they changed the FPS, and it looks like they get slow mo for their entrance. I absolutely love that.
You said the same thing last
I
week.
know it's so good. It's so nice. You got to say it twice.
Yeah, I mean, Fraxium didn't enter, but you'll love Fraxium's entrance when they do enter at Vengeance Day.
All right, I'll have to look out for them.
But yeah, I mean, Pretty Deadly, they're comic heels. That's the point. They're funny and they do what they need to do. And I love that out of them. But yeah, after that, we had another backstage segment, which this podcast has so many more backstage segments than I thought it would when we started. Yeah, we had Miz talking in Cody's ear, said if he'd be Jay's friend after WrestleMania. Miz said, "Hey, I can be your friend," and Cody was like, "I don't want to be your friend. I don't need your protection." And Miz, again, the comic heel thing, it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me so well because I get a good, nice little chuckle out of these goofballs because I know
Yeah.
they're just willingly making fools of themselves for our entertainment. I'm eating I'm eating lasagna and I'm laughing and I feel like a Roman emperor about to put my thumb down
Oh man,
or up.
I've recently gotten back into Italian cuisine.
Yeah, I bet. What do we have next, Brendan?
Next, we had that triple threat match between Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Jimmy Uso. Now, Drew is now on SmackDown, and the commentary team has really hammered that in before commercial and after commercial. Joe Test said that the transfer window was closed, but not before Drew McIntyre made his way to SmackDown. And before the match, Drew cuts a promo by saying "screw Raw," and he questions himself a little bit. He's kind of looked back and reflected on how he used to be angry all the time back whenever he was on Raw. And he said that, "Drew, you're so hot and handsome, there's no reason to be angry." And he realized that he was merely just a product of his environment. And he's now happy to be on SmackDown, and that now that he is on the blue brand, he will claim back the WWE title.
I'm gonna cut
And
you off again right here. I've laid out my plan for Drew McIntyre on SmackDown, and I've been on this train honestly since SummerSlam last year. I'm gonna lay this right before you, Brendan. I've told you about this. I haven't said that on the podcast yet, but here's my perfect
all right,
situation.
Cook.
So McIntyre's on SmackDown, right? Obviously, he's going to go to WrestleMania. I don't think he's going to have a title match there. I wouldn't mind him having a title match there. I would love for Drew McIntyre to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. But I think this works better. So McIntyre gets out of WrestleMania. He feels hungry. He just kicks somebody's ass at WrestleMania. He doesn't get cashed in on this time because there's no title. However, going towards SummerSlam, Drew has a very interesting opportunity before him. If you remember, Drew was friends with one Wade Barrett, who has won which tournament, Brendan?
King of the Ring.
Yes, so walk with me. King Drew McIntyre wins King of the Ring and earns himself that title shot on the SummerSlam card, and he dethrones Cody Rhodes in the main event of SummerSlam.
I like that idea.
I think Drew should dethrone Cody either way. I don't think it's going to happen at Mania. I feel like they can't have him walk into his first Mania as champion and have him leave without a title. That's just depressing.
Yeah.
But either way, I want Drew to take Cody's title, and I want him to have a nice long 6 or 7 month reign.
I like it. I love it.
Now, if you want to stretch it enough from SummerSlam, you could push him to Mania 42 as champion and have the ultimate underdog, Sami Zayn, win the Royal Rumble and take that belt off Drew.
I think in my plans for Drew McIntyre, they correlate with him earning a world title, but I also want him to fight Cena at some point. I would love that. I would love for Cena to put McIntyre over.
That's definitely. I don't think it's off the table, but from what we've seen with Cena, he promised what 30-something dates.
Yeah, he's not making that number.
That's gonna happen after Mania. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's gonna once he's done filming his movie, he's gonna come back. Not so much. I don't know about full time, but he's probably gonna be on TV every week.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Especially if he's gonna meet those promises, because he promised like at least half the year, and we've only seen him cut a promo on Raw in the Royal Rumble, and then declare for the Chamber, which isn't supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, he declared for the Chamber in the press conference of the Royal Rumble too.
You're supposed to earn the Chamber, Jonathan.
And we'll talk more about that later because a star took a little bit of a pot shot at Cena during a promo. We won't talk about who it is, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah, but back to that segment, Brendan. We had Jimmy Uso come out and cut Drew off like I've been cutting you off this whole time. Said Drew complained so much, sounded like an ex-girlfriend, right? Now Drew says he's mellowed out. Calls Jimmy J, and he says, "Maybe you would be where he is if you said yeet first." And funny enough, Jimmy did say yeet first.
He did?
Yeah, if you look back, like I think early Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, Jimmy was yeeting. Yeah, then LA Knight's music hits. And he hates Jimmy Uso because of the bloodline, because he cost him at, what the hell was it, Crown Jewel?
Yeah, Crown Jewel.
Where he faced Roman. Now, LA Knight, this is another reason I love this guy. He cut a mental health promo that it's okay to cry. just like Macho Man.
Yeah, I was fixing to bring up Macho.
Never be afraid to cry, kids. It's okay. It's healthy to get it out. Now, after that, he said Drew cried like a baby. That's why he said that. Drew Mackencrier, if you will. And the match, honestly, I think triple threats are the purest form of wrestling possible. But it was an insane looking sequence. I thought it was a botch at first, but I watched it back and I was like, damn, that was well executed. BFT to Jimmy, but Claymore connected to the back of LA Knight's head, and Drew rolled up LA Knight for the win.
Yeah. That he advances to the chamber, and I saw somebody say that this is a Scott Pilgrim-ass match for CM Punk.
He's got to fight all his evil exes.
Exactly.
Who else would be his evil ex? Who's got to come back? Umaga's dead, so we can't do that.
It's
Edge is under contract.
we're talking about
Oh, Punk, excuse
Punk.
me.
Punk's evil
Yeah,
exes.
I was thinking of Cena.
Jeff
So,
Hardy.
Randy,
Jeff Hardy's
Jeff
gonna
Hardy.
be in the mix.
Hey, that is not impossible. With
I
Jeff
don't
Hardy,
hate it.
yeah.
I don't hate it.
Who are Punk's evil exes? Obviously,
Uh,
Drew, Cena.
Bring
was
back
it-
Taker for a match.
Was it Cena who shaved his head?
That was Mysterio was in a match with him, and I think Show helped him shave his head.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Jericho's in AEW. Kane, no chance. Mark Henry, too old. Honestly, though, would be fun to see. Miz would have to get in. Triple H, and we will not say the head honcho's name. No, he does not exist anymore.
What head honcho?
Shane's dad.
Oh,
Yes.
which there's also news about him if we want to get to the
We will
ending
not.
recap.
We will not talk about him at all if we can help it.
I mean, there was some important news that came out today about him.
What?
I'll save it till the end. Let's continue on with this. All
I
right,
haven't
so
seen that news.
Damian Priest had a backstage interview, and it was brought to our attention that he will have a qualifying match with Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman in what should be an absolutely amazing match next week.
Yeah, I can't pick out from those three who should win.
I
feel
think it's going to be either Priest or Jacob, right?
Yeah, I feel like you can't have one way or another. Probably Strowman's taking the pin,
Yeah,
and that's a shame because Braun's given so much to the company, but now he's the monster that puts over other monsters.
exactly.
But yeah, you can't have Damian pin Fatu. You can't have Fatu pin Damian, especially when you're building both of these guys up. I feel like what's going to happen is Strowman and Fatu are going to try to kill each other about 15 times, and Priest is just going to steal one.
Yeah. Or Triple H could double stack Damian Priest pin Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman.
Triple H comes out, hits one last pedigree, and just buries Jacob Fatu.
He loves to book Damian Priest super strong.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was world champion earlier this year. I think he's deserving of strong booking. He's worked hard on it. He's what, 42?
Yeah.
You wouldn't guess it. He does not.
I think
42.
if I had to give a safe bet on who wins the match, I think it's Priest.
Probably, and I think it's Priest pinning Strowman.
Exactly.
That's probably the safest bet you can have of all these guys. But then after that, we have one of Kevin Owens' patented car promos, which I don't know who gives them direction for this or if they just say cut a promo on Sammy, but KO's really good at cutting a promo in his car.
He is, and this might be the one bit of footage we can actually get away with showing. We obviously won't play this right now, but if you're watching the video right now, we'll cut to it right here, or maybe we won't.
Edit.
Yeah, exactly.
But after that, we get the video package recap of what happened to Sami Zayn last Raw, where Jesus, Kevin finally hits another package pile driver on Sami Zayn, and I don't know what it was, but this one just had some oomph on it.
Yeah. This had a little bit of seasoning on it.
Had some poutine from
Yeah.
some Canadians.
Had
Um,
some down here. I can't say up there they season their food well, but if it was delivered down south, you might have a little bit of Zatarans on that package pile driver.
or some slap your mama.
Ooh.
But yeah, we find out Sammy has been diagnosed with extreme nerve damage and I think several broken not ligaments, parts of his spine. What are those things called?
Vertebrae.
Yeah, several broken vertebrae after the vicious attack from Kevin Owens. Even though it always makes me laugh because when you look at the immersion of it, when you break the immersion, you can see Kevin Owens delivers a package pile driver so safely.
He really does. He's probably one of the very few people I'd want to actually hit a package pile driver on me.
Yeah, because you know he's gonna take care of you. Your head's gonna hit his big old thighs.
Exactly.
But after that, we get to the match everyone's been waiting for: Tozawa versus Carmelo.
Yes.
Oh Lord, Carmelo comes out, cuts a promo on John Morant for missing the All-Star team. He said if he was an All-Star, he would selected what?
Oh, I can
What does this
explain
mean,
this for
Brendan?
you. All right,
Please
so
do. Brendan flubbed the script here. Just so
no,
you
I
know.
didn't flub the script. I didn't flub the script. So Carmelo trash talks Memphis and NBA star John Morant, who was not selected for the All-Star team. He said since he's an All-Star and he's in the city of Memphis, he will be the All-Star for the evening. And after that promo, Carmelo and Akira Tozawa get in the ring, and Carmelo gets the win off of nothing but net, and he gets his first win in quite a while.
His first singles pinfall victory since September.
Yeah, quite a while, but he
And
needs to start getting
yeah,
wins.
I think if there's a time to start pushing him back up to the mid card, it's now.
Exactly,
I
especially
think.
since we're going to have that six-man ladder match for the mid-card titles.
Would you stop? For those of you who don't know us, Brendan is obsessed with ladder matches in the mid card titles.
I think it should be a yearly occurrence. This is a hot take.
So you want four meaningless people along with two actual competitors going for the championship to make the title seem pointless?
No, I think you build up stars and you have this match.
Brendan, back in the day, they didn't even build up stars. Matt Cardona found out he was winning it the day of.
Well, that's because they had nobody on that Mania show.
Who would you propose even gets put in this ladder match, dude?
All right, think about it. You got
Obviously,
Andrade, you got
Andrade,
Carmelo, you got
Melo,
LA Knight, you got Shinsuke.
Knight, Shinsuke.
And then you have two people that you help build up. Jimmy Uso. He's somebody that you can have in that ladder match. And then I'm blanking on a name right now, but Damian Priest. Tell me that doesn't sound appealing to you.
The reason it doesn't sound appealing to me is because I can't think of them convincingly building up enough of a story for this to work.
I mean, they already have cross connections with a couple of these guys: LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade.
And then there's Shinsuke.
Yeah, Shinsuke as well. All you got to do is just introduce two other people into the mix, and you're golden.
I don't think anything past a fatal four-way should be for a title.
It could be a fatal four-way. I really don't care. It's just a little bit of a running joke just to get as many people on the Mania show as possible.
And yeah, I understand that, but there could be other ladder matches, you know.
True.
But yeah, after that, Mello starts digging a hole. He's burying Tozawa.
I saw so many memes about that.
I don't know if it's possible to bury Tozawa any further than he has been already.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love Tozawa, and I hope one day he just starts winning out of absolutely nowhere. Put the tag titles on him and Otis. I don't care.
Tozawa Mania.
Tozawa Mania. Make it happen.
You heard us, Triple H. Make it happen, or we'll break your legs.
Speaking of Tozawa, I actually almost said R-Truth and Tozawa for the tag titles, but I went back to Otis. The next segment actually involved both Akira Tozawa and Ron Killings, also known as R-Truth.
What's up?
What's up? Oh, that was so delayed. But we do see Truth helping Tozawa backstage, and then he just drops him because he sees Jey Uso. And if you've noticed, Brendan, Truth may confuse a lot of things, but he has never confused the twins.
I think that just goes to how much R-Truth truly pays attention in this world, despite how much he gets wrong.
And then, of course, he congratulates Uso on winning King of the Ring. Which just kind of makes that whole, hey, remember, it's Jay, Kamush. That makes that all seem pointless.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and bookmark that social media post just in case Jay does win the King of the Ring, though. That'd be hilarious.
If Jay holds on to that title for less than 2 months, Brendan, don't even get me started. But yeah, Truth drops Tozawa, and he congratulates Jay. Jay says, hey, Truth, check on Tozawa. But Truth says that Tozawa yeeted all over himself.
I can only assume what he meant by that.
Either way, Truth goes off. Cody comes back, asks him how he's feeling for Mania. Jay says he would like to face him, but he also has beef with Gunther, and as of then, he was undecided. Now, speaking of winners of the Rumble.
Yes, Charlotte Flair comes to the ring. She, of course, was advertised on SmackDown, and I started watching WWE, or I started watching back WWE in January of last year, and Charlotte was not on TV at that time, correct? She was hurt. So, I could be wrong, but she's got some pretty crappy Def Rebel music. I don't know if this is new. And
all hail the queen.
That's so terrible. Why? Alright, Charlotte is this great, amazing woman wrestler. Why does she get this crappy music? But besides the music, they presented her as the total package. She got pyro. She has a ring projector. The ring crew even let her in the ring. Like, you know how, like, you push the ropes down?
She's the queen.
Yeah. And we get a heel promo from Charlotte after last week's promo, to where it was that face promo. The crowd was not rocking with it. Cleveland did not want Charlotte Flair in the ring.
And then there was this crowd that wasn't exactly booing her, but they were kind of cheering her.
They were neutral, it seemed.
Really confusing.
The Charlotte says that all of the fans in the crowd are obsessed with her, and
they're rent-free.
She is living in their heads rent-free. Going forward, she's for sure going to be a heel. And we are getting Nia versus Tiffany next week because I believe Nia jumps Tiffy during this segment.
Yeah, probably.
I started really watching the show and taking less notes.
Yeah.
But during the segment, Alexa Bliss... Oh, I'm sorry. Nia didn't attack Tiffy, but Nia announced that she would be taking on Tiffy next week for the title, getting her rematch.
And, you know, I'm kind of confused, because is Nia still on SmackDown, or is she on Raw now?
She's kind of that tweener, I think, but...
yes. Tweener is a term we use when talking between brands.
Yes. She, I believe... I don't really know, honestly.
It doesn't matter.
But Alexa Bliss, she returns, and the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah, because she has that qualifying match with Candice LeRae coming up. And something we've seen, if you pay attention to Twitter, the Uncle Howdy account has been saying some very cryptic things about, quote-unquote, her. We don't know exactly that they're talking about Alexa Bliss, even though it seems very, blatantly obvious, because she was with the Wyatts when Bray was still around. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. But we do see some Uncle Howdy, Bray Wyatt-esque static here and there from commercial break. Now, a couple of times through the match, we do see Alexa Bliss tease doing the Sister Abigail. Candice, I think, gets her in a submission at some point or another. Looks like she might tap out. Then she doesn't. Then she hits her nice little emotionless expression, kisses Candice on the forehead, nails the Sister Abigail, and sends herself to the Elimination Chamber.
Love to see Alexa Bliss immediately back in the title scene as soon as she returns.
And it's definitely hypocritical of us to be happy about her being in the title scene. Meanwhile, Charlotte comes back and is in the title scene and we're upset about it, but I don't really care.
Yeah, me neither. One's Alexa Bliss, the other's Charlotte, and I don't really care.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I'm not taking a dig at Charlotte Flair.
One's been gone for like how long, and the other
they've both been gone for at least a year.
I don't know. I just like one and don't really like the other.
There you go. That solves it.
We have our favorites here on the podcast.
Oh, we definitely have our favorites.
All right, next segment we have take a seat. We have Piper, Chelsea, Mishin, B-Fab, and Zelina all in this one segment. Good lord, that's 5 women.
That's a lot of women's mid-card chances right there.
Yes, and it is given to us that next week we will have a qualifying match between Naomi and Chelsea Green for the Elimination Chamber.
That should be interesting.
Yes.
That should definitely be interesting. But then we get a package for the Street Profits, who are back, and I don't know if I'd call them heels as much as angry faces at this point, but they do have a package that plays, and Dawkins is holding the crutch. He cuts the whole promo himself, which I probably should have been paying more attention to the Street Profits over time, but man, Dawkins can talk.
He can. I was very, very impressed with the package that they had.
Yeah, I was never out on them, but I'm in harder now.
Man, this SmackDown tag division,
insane. They just Triple H, for as much flack as he gets about booking the tag division, I think he's gonna start picking it up soon.
Yeah, you remember how long ago we were talking about like, oh, the tag division sucks. Man, it is getting better every single week on SmackDown. Not so much Raw, but I mean that could be changing too. But man, SmackDown's really picked it up.
Yeah, definitely. And then after that, we had another hype package for Damian Priest, Jacob Fatu, and the Braun Strowman triple threat that we're getting this coming Friday, which, unless things go a little faster the next time, will be when this episode goes up, so we'll be able to catch you up on everything that's happened.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, Brandon, walk us through the main event.
The main event, we had, of course, the previously announced match between the team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. We had the finish of the match being an amazing sell by Tama Tonga with a crossroads, but coming back, Solo Sikoa. Why is he here?
We were just talking about Triple H picking it up, and now I'm starting to think he's lost the plot after I see this. Because Solo's lost clean to Cody the last 2 times. Or about as clean as you can get in a Bloodline Rules match, right?
Yeah.
But I'm so sick of seeing Solo and Cody. Get Cody away from the Bloodline, please.
I agree. Get Cody away from the Bloodline.
He just had the best, most compelling feud of his title reign. And you put him back with Solo Sikoa?
Is this just so that he gets something to do for the Elimination Chamber? I don't know.
I guess so. If this is a chamber match and not a build to Mania, I can live with that.
I think that's where they're going, and they might sprinkle a bit of Jacob Fatu in this angle to where they tease kind of the break from Solo.
I think we've been getting that a little bit with Solo having been gone for how long he's been? For a few months? Or about a month or so?
It could be interesting if Jacob Fatu actually wins his match and is in the chamber. That could be very interesting.
That could definitely be very interesting. My big concern right now is this next SmackDown after this Friday is going to be in New Orleans, which we're going to be going to, if I see Solo Sikoa hit Cody with another Samoan spike on that episode, I'm walking out of the stadium.
Well,
I'm I'm sick of the Samoan spikes.
I will be staying as late as long as they will have me because I don't know if a certain someone's going to be featured on any dark matches during the night.
What?
We'll talk about it whenever we get to NXT.
Oh, okay.
Now
No,
you get what I'm putting down, right?
yeah, I had a couple of ideas, but I wasn't sure.
All right.
But yeah, you finally watched NXT, and what a week to start. But first, we're gonna look at Raw, February 10th in Nashville, Tennessee. Once again, Jey Uso kicked off the show, and they play his song again. But this time, and when I saw this, I thought Jey just ate shit. I thought he fell down. But then they cut to see Gunther pulling him off and jumping him, and Gunther just hurls his jacket into a kid.
You love to see that like old school heel shit.
Oh my god, I hope that kid's okay. I think he got to meet Jey
He
after
probably
this.
got an autograph from like somebody after the show.
I think I read somewhere he got to meet Jey.
That's
I think
nice.
yeah, that's good. But I think Gunther was aiming for McAfee and Pat ducked.
If it hit McAfee, I think that would have been even more hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, after Gunther jumps Jey, security gets him out of there. He hits Jey with a couple of power bombs, a couple of moves in the ring, and then we see Gunther leaving and Jey leaning against the ropes and says he's not supposed to say this, but he makes it official. Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania.
Yes, and we get to see the card graphics for WrestleMania with that announcement, and man, do the card graphics look good with the playing cards and the Vegas Strip behind it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the presentation of this Mania goes about, because the last two I think have been presented pretty well. I think it's very difficult, if not impossible, to top the presentation of Mania 39,
Yeah,
just because it was so easy. They had the Weekend song perfectly fit. They were in Los Angeles. They had so many feuds that were building. You had a bunch of great matches, and the conclusion of Mania was a bit downtrodden, but you include the end of WrestleMania 40, and it feels better.
yeah. I just need Fiend to get replaced as the official song of WrestleMania because I'm getting so tired of hearing it.
I like Fiend. I don't know if it has the right aesthetic for this.
Honestly, this could be another weekend WrestleMania, and I would be perfectly fine.
Honestly, it's gonna sound stupid, and I don't actually mean this, but put some Elvis over that thing.
Ooh, Viva Las
Las
Vegas!
Vegas. Yeah, give me some of that.
Or you can get somebody to like remix and re-sing the song or something. Do
Right,
something
and
like
I know,
that.
I know, I sound like the most absurd white man ever born by saying that I want, I want Elvis over WrestleMania.
No, you're fine.
I don't actually mean that.
My parents have every single Elvis Christmas song on vinyl. You
That's
you
frightening.
are completely fine.
That is frightening, Brendan.
But after that, we get a recap of what happened last week between Rhea and Io. And
Yes.
we don't speak Japanese here, but we found out that Io was basically saying, "You cost me my chance at WrestleMania, blah blah blah. I'll never forgive you. You cost my shot, blah 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 blah." And after that recap, we get a interview between Kathy Kelly and Rhea Ripley, and Rhea says it seems like Charlotte is stalling on picking her title match because it seems like she's afraid of Rhea. And Io comes up to Rhea and says, "You cost me my match at Mania, and I'm coming for you."
Yeah, and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen with this later in the show, which is definitely an interesting booking decision. But after that, we have Io go out with the returning Dakota Kai from her concussion, Liv versus Liv and Raquel, and this was a really good match.
It was. It was an amazing match.
Yeah, I love Liv. I wish she would get more push as a single star, but she's really good in a tag team too.
I honestly think this might have been the best, like, grap for grap Raw on Netflix match we've gotten so far. Is that crazy to say?
A little bit, but I'm with you, man. It was a very good match. When you have Io Sky just doling out whatever she wants to do, you get good stuff out of it. But something we did see out of Liv, she got busted open.
Man, whether it was Hardway or
I think it was
with the
Hardway.
blade,
I think it
man.
was when Raquel was swinging her around. She got busted open. And I'm going to make a hard stance on this. Let the women blade.
I want to say that's like the third week in a row that she's gotten color.
And you know what? This sounds insane, and I don't mean this in a weird way, but she looks damn good.
You have a
When,
thing
when
with
she,
blood, my friend.
it makes you look cooler.
It does. I mean, when the story requires it, blood is the perfect
No,
visualization on how brutal the WWE can be.
no one has looked cooler in the time that I've started watching wrestling than when Drew had like just come up short on pinning Punk and he was laying on the mat with the blood
I
down his face and it was
know.
just his one eye. That was the coolest looking thing I have ever seen.
I saw somebody post art on that
Yes.
on
Oh my
Twitter,
God.
and I
Crimson
saved it to
Mask.
my phone. I have it on my phone.
Say it, Brendan. Who is the artist? Because they deserve credit for that.
Um, I we will post it right here. I will edit
Yeah.
this in. This
Post a
is
link to it.
this is the lovely person that created that bit of art, as you can see right here. We
They're
love it
very
oh so
talented.
much.
Very talented. Give them all your love.
Yes, please check these people out.
It's excellent art. Could have
And
sworn I had it. I could have sworn I had it bookmarked too, but I got too many damn
oh,
bookmarks.
I can send it to you after the show.
Well, no, I know exactly who you're talking about, but yeah, yeah, we're gonna have them posted right here, so you can go see them and support them. To all 20 people that saw our show last night, thank you for that. Our show
Yes,
last
we
week,
got
thank you for that.
23
By the way,
viewers. 23
Yes.
viewers last week.
4 of them might have been me, but that's not the point.
5 of them could have been me. You're fine.
Whatever, it's fine. Either way, Damage Control gets the win, and Liv going to the Elimination Chamber. She's been in the last what 4 Elimination Chambers,
I think so. I think
dating
so.
back to when it was in Saudi.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's insane. Liv, for a lot of people give her flack for being too emotional or like too expressive or whatever, but she's awesome. She's perfect.
I do think at times she gets a little too cartoony expressions, but she's a wonderful performer, and man, she's probably the best seller on the whole roster.
Gosh,
Well,
that's
well,
that is hard to pick.
I mean, there's a long list of people. It's probably tied first, tied first, tied first, tied first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Liv is up there though. I will not deny that in the slightest. But calling anyone the best anything in this league is insane.
Yeah,
Did I just say league? Why did I say league?
I mean, it used to be called a federation. You're not too far off.
Ah, yes, the feds. But then we get another recap of Sammy and KO, and then we get Bailey versus Lyra in a qualifier match, and it's definitely a choice to have your women's Intercontinental Champion take a pinfall in her first match since she won the title.
Yeah, it's certainly a choice, but since it's a qualifier match, I think you can get away with it.
It was also quick. It wasn't like, well, no, it was kind of a clean win, but it was also. I'm doing bad at remembering this because I was out of it
Yeah,
by
this
point.
episode of Raw, I didn't really take a whole lot of good notes.
It's fine on that. But either way, Bailey won. I don't think she hit the rose plant, and I think she needs to stop using the rose plant entirely.
I think they're starting to phase it out.
And I love Bailey. I love Bailey, but the rose plant just sucks.
Often at times I don't know when she's actually hitting it, and I don't notice until the commentary says it.
I know exactly what the move is. I just don't care for it. But either way, after that, we get Penta cutting a promo. They want both Kaiser and Pete Dunne want a piece of Penta, and he's coming for you both. And then Kaiser and Pete Dunne backstage. Pete Dunne has a match with Penta next week, and moving graphics. I love moving graphics. I love
Love the moving graphics, man.
Just like you love ladder matches, I love moving graphics. I'm a crack addict for moving graphics.
Man.
But then we do see Pete Dunne and Kaiser have a nice little interaction. Couple of European boys getting at it. And Pete Dunne tells Kaiser, I am not your friend, and I was not trying to help you last week. So Kaiser doesn't have friends.
I'm not your buddy, pal.
We haven't seen... All right, South Park Canadian guy. I'm not your buddy. But, how long has it been since we've seen Kaiser interact with Gunther? I know.
Since
Gunther,
I want to say
Gunther,
in the locker room after Kaiser lost the IC qualifier match or the IC match.
Yeah, possibly. I know that we've seen Gunther tell Kaiser, go find your success as a single star, but he's still using the Imperium music.
He is.
So it's interesting to see where that goes. But after that, Brendan, we had another backstage segment, right?
Yeah, we did. We had Lyra, Alpha Academy, and American Made. Ivy called Lyra Bird Girl, which, if you're not aware with the internet wrestling community, Lyra's known as Bird Girl.
Yeah, she's a Valkyrie. She's her thing is a raven.
Rivalry. We get that annoying laugh by Brutus.
What do you mean annoying? His laugh is great.
Would you rather hear Ricochet's laugh or Brutus's laugh? Be honest.
Brutus.
Brutus?
Yes. Brutus is as stupid on purpose.
True.
Ricochet just sounds like that. And that's not a dig on Ricochet, because he just can't do a fake laugh.
He can't cut a promo. He can be annoying, but
I don't know. Some of his acts in AEW have been kind of getting me going.
I don't know. There might be a difference between being annoying and cutting a promo, but
right.
I feel like he's progressively getting better.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of how it goes, really. You get better over time.
But you had that one interview with Triple H talking about Ricochet being scared to cut a promo, and you're just like, yikes.
Yeah, that's another thing. And as somebody who's not afraid to cut a promo, AJ Styles is back, and he is on Raw. He had a Liz Frank injury against Carmelo Hayes several months ago on SmackDown. Michael Cole mentions TNA, which has the partnership, and TNA, of course, is based in Nashville. He gets the welcome back chance. He said after 4 months he got back here, he got hurt. And he wrote this. The only person with longer hair than AJ, Dominic, comes out. Says the Judgment Day runs Raw. And AJ says to that, you will always be Ray's punk-ass son. And, of course, AJ takes his shirt off. He's 50, and he still has better abs than I could ever wish to.
Man, I did not think AJ was going to come back this fast, did you?
I mean, I've never had a Liz Frank injury, so I can't tell you what the recovery time on that is.
Man, had like a John Cena type recovery time.
Well, it's... Oh, what did he get? I don't even know how long...
He must have been doing everything right in rehab to come back that fast.
A Liz Frank injury... 6 weeks.
Oh, really?
So it depends. Its strain is 8 weeks. Surgery requires at least 4 months. And rehab is required. So...
Oh, well, I guess he kind of met the time, right?
Yeah. I think it's honestly more impressive because he's 50 now.
That is true. I thought there would be some setbacks in his recovery because of his age. But no, we saw as he took his shirt off, he's still ripped.
Yeah, he is. God, I wish I looked like that when I was 50.
Honestly, AJ Styles, you are my inspiration. I will start working out now.
You're going to start growing your hair out too?
I might. Who knows?
I got to shave before Saturday because my facial hair is still patchy, and I got to be on TV.
You see from my avatar here that my mustache connects with my beard. That didn't happen until just a couple days ago. I hadn't shaved in quite some time, and now my mustache has connected to my beard.
Yeah, and you gave me a little chin scraggle, which is not representative of my look at all.
Well, we can redo the avatars if you want.
Whatever, man. It's not important. Let's go to the next thing.
We got Jackie Redmond with CM Punk. Next week, Seth Rollins will face Finn Balor in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. And Seth is... Excuse me. What am I looking at here? Oh, this is separated. Excuse me. I believe we had a interview with Jackie Redmond and CM Punk, and then next we had Seth Rollins come into the mix. Next week, Seth Rollins will face Finn Balor in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and Seth says he is feeling great because we are live in Nashville, Tennessee, and that the path to Mania is getting clear by the second because Jay is now going to be fighting Gunther, and now all eyes are on Seth to win at the Chamber, and Seth says he's going to win because he's going to challenge Cody at Mania because he has some loose ends that he wants to tie up.
And you know, it's funny to me. It's funny because people assume that since Gunther has been chosen by Jay, that now the winner of the Chamber only has the one option. But remember, guys, you can apparently go after the NXT champion. So who wants to fight Obafemi?
No, nobody wants to. No. You're a dead man if you go down there.
50-year-old AJ Styles gets in the ring with Obafemi.
Oh my
He
god.
just dies. I love AJ, but the way they've booked Oba in NXT, he's gonna die.
Yeah. After that, Finn joins the interview and says, yeah, Seth, all eyes are on you because we're going to watch the downfall of Seth Rollins in front of our very eyes.
This wasn't even a backstage interview. This was in like a...
Yeah, it was in that high, like, balcony.
Yeah, it was like in a booth or a suite or something.
Exactly.
But then we do go backstage, and this match is going to look like a L'Oreal commercial. We're getting AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio next week. All that hair, man. And then we have Mr. Scalp Head Braun Breaker wearing a cowboy hat. Tells him, see you around.
That was... at some point, I thought they weren't going to say any words. They were just going to let the crowd do their talking, and then they were just going to walk away. But no, Braun says, see you around.
And that could be a very interesting match.
Yeah, speaking of matches, the match between American Made and the War Raiders that was made on the night for the tag titles, it ended in a DQ after American Made attacked the War Raiders with the tag belts.
Yeah, and I think we're going to start seeing new sides of everybody in American Made, since Gable was like, hey, get these things by whatever means necessary, blah, 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 this, that, these, and those. But after that, we had a segment on the Judgment Day. Finn hates how Judgment Day looks, with everybody around him hurt. Dom stands up for himself, says, with JD out, we got to get new members. Finn says JD wouldn't be hurt if it wasn't for Dom. Liv breaks it up for her Pookie, and she's still got blood on her face. They haven't cleaned her up yet.
That is true.
But it doesn't matter because both guys are going to win their matches next week. She says, wrong, by the way. And then we get a backstage segment where Io Sky confronts Rhea Ripley. And this was probably my most confusing moment for me. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley is official on the Raw after Elimination Chamber.
Which I don't get. I don't get that at all, man.
I don't understand. Why is Io not on the card for Elimination Chamber?
I think, even still, I think you should have like a losers bracket kind of qualifying match for the Chamber,
Right.
and you'd have
like
Io
a
win
last
that.
chance qualifier. But having her not even get this, like, I don't know if I'd be okay with Rhea and Io on Chamber, because I want that to be a Mania match, but at least put them on a PLE.
Exactly. Or you just have Io v Rhea at the Chamber, and then you just have a feud going into Mania with an extra person.
You have Io lose the match at Elimination Chamber, then come out and just deck somebody who qualified like Edge did with Kofi.
Yeah.
Just lay into him, steal his spot, and win the title. or when the that was a weird day. Edge lost his title in that Elimination Chamber. He was the first one eliminated, and then he comes back, joins the World Heavyweight Elimination Chamber, and wins that.
Mm-mm-mm.
I
That
was
Edge.
watching both of those Elimination Chambers the other day, and I was just thinking, like, wait, these are the same night. What the hell happened here? Speaking of what the hell happened here, CM Punk comes out, cuts his usual promo. He's already qualified for the Elimination Chamber. He's just here to get his paycheck. And then Logan Paul comes out, doesn't know his music because Def Rebel does suck.
They do suck. Punk
When are they
and Logan,
leaving?
they have a back and forth, but man, Def Rebel, when are they leaving?
I don't know. Their contract was supposed to expire in last year.
Sounds like a lot of people don't like them.
I don't think most of the talent cares for them.
Exactly.
And I don't know what it is. Bring CFO $sign back.
Yeah, or Jim Johnson.
I don't think Jim Johnson's coming back.
Yeah. Who knows?
But then we get the main event of Monday Night Raw, Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio, and Logan. I'm gonna pull from AEW here because again, I'm not gonna be marky about this. Other companies exist. I'm gonna say this: Logan Paul has stolen so much of his moveset from Hangman Adam Page. It's kind of ridiculous. The springboard lariat, not the springboard lariat, the buckshot lariat where he does the bounce over the ropes, throws his arm in you. Then there's the clothesline springboard off the corner, and that move he had where he backflipped with Ray in his arms. All of those are Adam Page.
It is true, but I mean, whenever you look at the difference between the two, one brings eyeballs and the other doesn't.
I don't know, man. Adam Page might be the best player in that men's division in AEW.
Probably.
He's a very good actor. He's a good wrestler, but he can act his ass off. Him and Tony Storm, my God, once they're done, I know a lot of wrestlers go to Hollywood once they're done wrestling, but these two need to go in Hollywood because they make me feel things with their acting. It's not even just the way they say things. Adam Page has very expressive eyes.
Yeah.
But we do see the debut of Logan Paul's new finisher, the Pulverizer, as it was called. And he wins the match and goes to the Elimination Chamber. I promised on Twitter that I would do a frog splash on a Brendan if Ray won the match.
That ultimately did not end up happening, but maybe on another occasion, maybe we can have a backyard wrestling match for like 100,000 subscribers or something.
You are very bold with your predictions of how well we're gonna do.
Well, I mean, you gotta dream big, right?
Yeah, but not that big. That's crazy.
100,000 subscribers, I feel like that's not a tough goal to try and
We
pursue.
have 7.
Who gives a damn? I want 100,000. This is y'all's carrot dangled in front of you to get us to 100,000 subscribers. If you want to see a backyard wrestling match between me and Logan, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell.
I am not taking the pin. That's not gonna work for me, bro.
That ain't working for me, brother, so I guess we're gonna have to shoot, huh?
Oh, you don't want to fight me. Oh, but buddy, you took all the notes for NXT. Get us started with what happened there, because I couldn't see shit on my television.
Oh man, am I gonna have to go through all of NXT?
No, I'm gonna chime in here and there. I saw bits and pieces of it, but it was just unwatchable at times.
Okay.
Get us started.
I didn't take notes for all of NXT. There's a couple segments that I believe I left out. I believe I left out the Eddie Thorpe package.
Yes, we're gonna find out, I think, if you wrote it down or not, but there is something that happened with him after that package.
Yes. Alright, so we start the show off with Cora Jade versus Bayley, and the match came down to Cora Jade winning after Roxanne Perez came down in Bayley gear and distracted Bayley, who would attack Roxanne. And
no, you got to be more specific. It's Hugger Bayley.
Yes,
came out in the tassels and the top
NXT Bayley gear.
Oh man! And then Ava comes out after Cora wins and tells the crowd that triple threat at Vengeance Day, it's going to be a fatal 4-way, baby.
Yes, we saw backstage Julia watching on the monitor, and Ava came and whispered in her ear, I believe, during the match or after the match.
Like I said, I couldn't see much of anything.
That's
I
no
was
problem,
eyeballing most of it.
because Obafemi comes up next, and he says that the ruler will walk out of Vengeance Day champion because A-Town Down Under will be too busy fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, and then they come out there and they start arguing amongst each other, which this isn't a dig on Triple H, but it feels like HBK is booking this potential breakup better than HBK did. I mean, better than Triple H did.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a ruse. Theory and
It was a
Waller
ruse.
quote unquote, beat each other up, but they ultimately end up jumping Oba
Yep,
as
we see
Waller pushes
Austin.
Theory into
Yep,
Oba, and Oba's against the ropes, and they just ultimately both decide to jump him.
we see that A-Town down finisher from Austin Theory, and then Waller hits his rolling pay dirt, which is kind of like a mix of rolling thunder and a stunner, which I love that finisher. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
clean finisher, and Waller does it really well.
I agree. Next up, we had Sol Ruka and Zarya get into some war of words with double knee brace Nikita Lyons,
All
and
right, man.
a match is made on the night between Zarya and Nikita Lyons later tonight on NXT.
After that, we saw a video package from Javon Evans' doctor, who cleared him to compete. And as you saw, Ethan Page broke his jaw before the turn of the year, and Javon's been coming back from that ever since. But the doctor says that if Javon gets hurt in his jaw again, that it could put his career in jeopardy. And Ava made him sign a waiver.
Yes.
Ah, yes, Javon Evans. Isn't he like 20?
He's very young. He's very
He
young.
is very young. How old is Javon Evans? 20 years old. He's younger than both of us. That
Yeah.
good for him, but God, what have I done with my life?
Man. Don't
Uh,
get me started on me, man.
but then we get that triple threat we talked about. We had a couple of backstage segments with uh, Josh Briggs and Inamura last week, where they get this triple threat made between Briggs, Inamura, Hank and Tank, and the No Quarter Catch Crew. Miles Bourne, one half of No Quarter Catch Crew. I saw somebody say he looks like Randy Orton, and then he did that snap slam that Randy always does. You saw that?
I did not see that. You're gonna have to send me that clip.
Yeah, he did. He look, and he's bald. He shaved his head. He looks kind of like Randy did back in the day. But after that, we get the win. Inamura and Josh Briggs get the win, and they're gonna see Fraxium Vengeance Day on Saturday. This card is full up.
I'll
Then
talk
we
about
get
you at the end of the show, but you can give your opinions on this. But correct me if I'm wrong. This could be like one of the better NXT cards in a while, right?
it's hard to say. They've had some really good NXT cards, but this one is chock full of people. That's the thing.
All right. And after that, we get a backstage segment with the D'Angelo family. And then after that, we go right into our Legacy Cup match between JDC, formerly known as Fandango, however you want to pronounce it, and
John
Lexus
Dango
King.
Curtis.
Now,
Heritage Cup. Heritage
yes,
Cup.
the Heritage Cup. I said Legacy Cup, didn't I?
You did say Legacy Cup.
The Heritage Cup. Excuse me. And with this being Lexus King's match, there's some new rules tonight, as it's one fall, one finish to win the cup. And as they're introducing the champion and challenger, they accidentally take the cup graphic. So we had a bit of a botchamania moment right there.
Yeah, that was something, all right.
Yeah,
All right.
that will definitely be on Botchamania. And we see Lexus use the ropes to his advantage to win the match, as he kind of took the ropes, and Curtis fell to his groin on the top turnbuckle. And what was that? His finish that he did to end the match after that?
Ah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it. Lexus King finisher. It is called. Yeah, this isn't doing it for me, Internet. Answer the question. Coronation.
I believe he hits Coronation to end the match. I could be wrong. After that, we get a backstage segment with Fatal Influence with Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker. It seems like that NXT North American Women's Division is quite stacked.
Yeah. I I say this not harmfully, but Fatal Influence is everything they wanted PSC to be.
Really?
Yes, they are. Trust me, they work so much better, and I don't know why. I can't really pick anything out, but they work so much better. But then after that, we get the Lioness Nikita versus Zarya, and Sol Ruka. Nikita Lyon said Sol Ruka is holding Zarya back. Zarya does end up getting the win. Nikita debuted a new submission hold, the split leg choke. I think is something what it was called. She literally did a split on Zarya's back and had her by the chin.
Yes, to Booker T's pleasure on commentary.
Booker T's got to get himself together. That
Oh,
man is
man.
married.
Oh, man.
Married. But I texted you about this because this is something I just kind of picked out. Is that Zarya's F5 goes backwards from the man who did it most prominently.
Yeah,
In WWE.
Told me that because in Australia the water drains the opposite direction.
Yeah, I don't know if that's why, but that is kind of funny to think about.
That is very funny to think about.
Yeah. Speaking of funny, Ethan Page is the next segment. Comes out, says you lead with your heart, not your head. He took Javon's smile, got his own back, and he says, what happens to you is not my fault. And I can just tell you, Ethan Page is not winning this match. He's going to try to break Javon's jaw, and Javon's going to get him.
Oh, man. I'm excited for this match. This is probably, like, besides what we expect to happen on the show with the NTs of the last couple of NXTs.
Yeah, that is true.
This is probably one of the matches I'm looking forward to.
Another match we just got, which you talked about not putting Eddie Thorpe's package in this, but he kind of just said what we all needed to hear. He wants his get back off of Eddie. I mean, he wants his get back off of Trick, and we've got him versus Eddie in a strap match at Vengeance Day. Last time we saw a strap match was Bash in Berlin. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Yes. And
good old-fashioned four-corner touch strap match.
And as they're taking the match graphic for this new created match, we hear
about it,
a very familiar voice talking. Now, I thought originally that this was a production error and somebody was coming out whenever they were taking match cards, but no, this was completely intentional, as coming out of the crowd is one absolute Ricky Starks. Everybody in the NXT shed is going crazy as they did not expect Ricky Starks to be there in attendance.
It's been a day since he was released from AEW, and he's already back in NXT.
Ricky says, you all know who I am, and the hottest free agent deserves to be on the hottest brand, and everybody keeps asking me when the Revolution will be televised, but I'm here right now, aren't I? And he does his pose, and the crowd goes nuts. What did you think of this, Logan?
I know that you have been fiending for Ricky Starks.
Yes,
and finally hit NXT.
And the first episode of NXT I watch in full, the man shows up.
Yeah, tell him what you told me when you would start watching NXT. Right?
I told Logan that I would not begin to start watching NXT until Ricky Starks was on the brand, and I guess I followed through with my promise because, kid you not, the first NXT I watch in full, Ricky Starks is on the show.
Good things happen for Brendan, it appears.
Man, I've just been truly blessed as a wrestling fan. Good Lord.
And you haven't even seen everything that NXT has to offer. You've seen most of the women's division that was in the Rumble. You haven't even seen them.
Oh yeah, I've got so much good things ahead of me.
Yeah, this Vengeance Day card is going to do something to you, Brendan. But after that, we get a good old-fashioned steel cage match between Ridge Holland and Tony D'Angelo. Now, it was back and forth. There was a crowbar thrown into the mix by Adriana Rizzo, who is... I can't really think of her relation to anybody in the family. I think she's just kind of the token girl. I don't think she's in like a kayfabe relationship with any of the guys, or if she's just like the sister. I've never really put that much thought to it. But she throws a crowbar into the mix, which kind of defeats the purpose of the steel cage when you think about it. The steel cage gets turned back on... I mean, not the steel cage, excuse me. The crowbar gets turned on the Don to begin the match. But then he gets it back, starts wailing on Ridge Holland, hits his patented spine buster, hits a very clean spine buster, gets the win there. But then out comes Sean Spears, Brooks Jensen, and I think somebody named Nico Vance, who is a new member of Sean Spears' group. Izzy Dame had run into the ring to help protect the Don. And just when Rizzo gets the door closed, I should also mention that Stax and Crucifino had chased Ridge Holland backstage because he'd thrown them out of the ring when they went to go help um, D'Angelo. But they're gone. So it's just Rizzo, Dame, and Tony D'Angelo in there. And now Tony D'Angelo is, of course, the NXT North American champion. But Izzy Dame, who'd been having a bunch of segments involving the family, turns on the family. And she hits Tony D'Angelo in the knee with a crowbar, choke slams Adriana Rizzo, and opens the door for a beatdown of Spears, Jensen, and Vance to just lay into Tony D'Angelo. And it seemed like just like that, when we haven't had Sean Spears wrestle or do much meaningful anything over the last few months, he's right back in the fold.
Oh yeah, and
that was our main event of NXT.
That was a very good show. Honestly, if I had to pick a show that did the best, I might honestly pick NXT.
And that's what I've been telling you, man. NXT's on the rise.
Man, Shawn Michaels is doing good things.
Yeah, if they want to try to do what they did a while ago and try to make NXT the third brand rather than developmental, it would be interesting, especially with them introducing this new Evolve thing.
Yeah, and I kind of want to bring that to you because
we're going to talk about that.
Do you see NXT of being a third brand, or do you still see it as developmental?
I mean, I would definitely say they've treated it as developmental because they have a draft and people get called up from NXT. You don't get called up from an equal, you know?
That is true. I also think at this point that WWE can kind of shine their light on, hey, this is how good our developmental is that it's being sort of treated as this third brand, if that makes sense.
Right, and I know I was kind of talking some good on AEW, but their ratings have been downhill lately, and NXT ratings have been consistently competing and topping AEW's flagship shows over the last few months.
Yeah, they've just been beating AEW in the ratings every single week.
But speaking of AEW, I do think Tony Khan's taking booking back over.
Oh, you think so?
I think I read that somewhere, and I think that could be interesting to see how they go, because, 22, 21 prime years of NXT before CM Punk left? They were cooking. I would not mind if they started getting their shit back on sailing.
I mean, it's always good to have two good wrestling promotions, as you can see with the amount of people that are jumping ship, like Ricky Starks.
Speaking of Ricky Starks, Brendan.
Yeah?
His debut on NXT has garnered over 3 million views on WWE's Twitter account so far.
You love to see it.
Yeah, you are in heaven already, dude.
I'm going to throw a crawfish boil to celebrate this, I swear.
Good God. But, speaking of AEW, another talking point I have listed down here, Malachi Black's contract officially expired.
Oh, where are you seeing this news?
I think I saw it from Fightful.
Fightful?
Fightful said that Malachi Black's contract has officially expired and he's a free agent, and I don't want to read into the dirt sheets, but I think it would make the most sense if he comes back to WWE. Everybody wants him back.
Exactly, and it could also help if he is the one teaching Chad Gable in the arts of Lucha Libre.
Would it?
Would it?
What does he really have to do with Lucha Libre? Honestly.
I don't know.
He's married to Zelina? Is that it?
I don't know, possibly. Did he have some good feuds with any luchadors at his time?
I can't really
in WWE. That's what I had been seeing online a lot.
I think Chad's going to AAA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably that's his likely destination, I'd imagine, to learn the dark arts of Lucha Libre.
I think that would be quite fun.
Yeah, but then he has to work with Alberto Del Rio.
Notable prick, Alberto Del Rio.
Notable hated by these two guys hosting this podcast. Somebody that we don't hate though, Nikki Bella. I've seen a couple of videos of her training in the dungeon with Natalia for potentially long-term return to ring action.
Man, you love it, man. I think Nikki Bella, it's just another like cherry on like the absolute delicious sundae that is the women's division in WWE right now. The fact that this can be treated as a luxury and she can
Oh
take
yeah.
all the time she needs to get better in the ring.
And I told you, you tweeted this out. I definitely agree with you. Is that another Evolve show or Evolution? Was that what it was?
Yeah, evolve.
Yeah, another one of those TLEs with just the women would be awesome.
Yeah, man, we really do need to bring that back, especially with the women's mid card titles now.
Right. Or Triple H needs to stop just putting 5 matches on the card.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a lot more time. We saw, speaking of lots, we saw a few new WWE trademarks, notably Osiris Griffin, who actually is now the ring name for former Saints training camp player Joshua Black.
I didn't know he played for the Saints or was on their practice squad. That is amazing.
He was there for the preseason.
Well, he's now I am a fan of Osiris Griffin.
I'm pretty sure these names that we saw copyrighted, a lot of people were terrified because they didn't say Ricky Starks on the show. And they were like, if this guy is Osiris Griffin, I quit.
I think that might have been the best of the trademark names, in my opinion.
Yeah, there were some. I was big fan of it was like Draco something. I like that
There was Hayes Jameson.
one. What was that?
I'm not a fan of that one.
But another talking point I wrote down is some of the releases that we saw recently. And, you know, with releases, we're always going to see people crying out for these people that weren't on TV, that were like, oh, they were so good. But of course, we do feel horrible that these people have lost their livelihoods, and we wish them all the best in finding their next work.
Exactly.
Giovanni Vinci, Blair Davenport, AOP and Paul Ellering, Sonya Deville, member of PFC, so I think that group's just done now. Then we saw Cedric Alexander, who was written off with an injury in NXT. The Good Brothers, just as AJ Styles comes back, are gone. Duke Hudson, former MVP of Chase U, has been released now that Chase U is gone. And Elektra Lopez is gone. So it makes me wonder what direction Legado del Fantasma is going.
Yes, and
But
I believe you also forgot to mention Isla Dawn.
I was gonna say that one. I was saving that one for last because that one surprises me the most.
Yeah, I agree too. They put the straps on those girls, and
Alba and Isla.
yeah,
I'm I I think it's most surprising because Alba is still with the company. They
yeah,
were a tag team first. And honestly, this isn't a dig on Alba, but I think Isla always got like more pop out of me than Alba did. I'm just shocked that they kept one of them, unless they have like big plans for Alba and couldn't think of anything for Isla.
I'm not sure, but I think you just keep the two together, honestly.
Yeah, I mean they were a good tag team. They should have been booked better, and I just that one throws me off.
But I think the reason why we saw these amount of releases is the amount of wrestlers getting out of quote unquote Guantanamo Bay. We
Yes,
saw
you
a
did.
lot of releases, or we saw a lot of noticeable absences from AEW's website. We saw Miro, we saw Malachi Black, we saw the recently mentioned Ricky Starks. A lot
Rusev
of
Day
those.
is back on, Brendan.
Yes, Rusev Day, I believe, could be back on.
Rusev Day is back on. Yeah. But my last talking point, I wrote this down. I've seen, I don't want to call them idiots, but people online comparing Jey Uso winning the Rumble to the Yes Movement.
Ah,
What?
no, they're not alike at all.
Jey is beloved by the crowd, but I feel as though the big difference here is that WWE has been behind Jey in this push. The
Exactly.
announcers are yeeting. Um, you know what? I'm going to say it. Vince put the title on Daniel Bryan, made him lose the title in a cash-in, like right after, and didn't give him another chance. Literally a year and a half after the Yes Movement had started, after they had turned Daniel Bryan heel, made him do the no thing, then they put him with the Wyatt family for some reason. He still got a massive pop when he turned on Bray Wyatt. When
Yeah,
you
it's
look in that steel cage, he had the crowd going, yes, yes,
in
yes,
Providence, Rhode Island, nonetheless.
yes, exactly, in Providence, Rhode Island. And again, I don't say this as a dig on Jay. I love Jay. I'm glad he's getting the push he is. But there can never be anything as organic as the Yes Movement was, because they pushed him down the card. They made it clear he was not the main event player that they wanted him to be. But damn it, the people were behind him, and eventually Vince McMahon had no choice
Yeah,
but to push him, put the titles on him, and he beat all of Evolution in one night.
yes, exactly. Man, I look back on fondness with the Yes Movement. That was
Happened
whenever I
in New
was
Orleans.
really watching wrestling.
In New Orleans.
Yep, in New Orleans, which is why Mania should be back in New Orleans, ladies and gentlemen.
Mania 42 is headed hopefully to New Orleans. I don't even know if I'll go because I haven't been to a wrestling show before, and I think I kind of like it better on TV. But
We could
we'll
go
see what
to
happens.
the like WWE museum thing. We could buy tickets to that.
That is true.
There's a lot of things you can do. You could go to Stand and Deliver in New
Stand and
Orleans.
Deliver is earlier that day.
There could be
Earlier,
a lot of stuff we can do.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do, but we don't have much left to do because that's all we got for this episode.
Yes, we have been recording for about an hour and 30 minutes. That is less than our 2 hour runtime, I believe, that we had last episode,
Jesus,
correct?
I probably yeah,
I'm
but that still
going
feels
to the
really
channel
long.
right now. We had an hour and 44, so at about
Jesus,
a couple minutes less. I think
the
we did
Rumble
pretty
only.
good for ourselves.
We got to work on trimming this up. Nobody wants to listen to us yap for an hour and a half.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that down to an hour.
Yeah, but with that being said, everybody, we are still working on getting more content out weekly besides our streams for each main roster PLE. I'm Logan. That's Brendan. And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.